Kia ora and welcome, Gemini. Thanks for joining me. This is your reading for this new moon in Aries. It's happening literally tomorrow. And of course, we've got the Equinox as well. So it's a big sort of moment in the year, really, isn't it? Speed. Things are speeding up. There's all sorts of interesting things going on in the world as per usual. Anyway, we'll get your cards out here. I do thank everyone who's liked and commented and continue to do so, because it really helps to keep this channel, or allow this channel to be seen by more people and build it up and all of that great stuff. So thank you. And yeah, the collective reading's up. Take what resonates in this reading for you, Gemini, and just leave what doesn't. Just leave what doesn't. And let's get into it. So I've got them, they popped out face down. Face down. We start out here with the Five of Cups, if you're familiar with tarot. You know, the Five of Cups is about being able to shift our perspective, because it is a card of disappointment. As we see in the Thoth deck, it is called disappointment. But of course, we have those two full cups behind us, or wherever they are, under the table, whatever. But we change our perspective in this card. We all have experienced disappointment, melancholy, all of that kind of thing, but it is our self-responsibility. No one else can pull us out of that and alter our perspective. We do that for ourselves, Gemini. We then have, well, the Seven of Wands, about standing up for your integrity. In order to do that, you need to know that what that is for you, your integrity. Do you understand that, how it exists within you, how you work with it, how you understand it for yourself? But yeah, it is about assessment as well, like choosing battles, as we like to, choose our battles. Is there a lot of stuff going on for you at the moment? I think the Gemini mind, there always is, because we're looking out there, we're picking up all this information, and there's just so much at the moment, and has been for a while, that, can very easily feel quite scattered. So there's really a kind of theme at the moment to try and just, be as focused as you can on whatever it is that you're doing or needing to do, or whatever it is, or your just general level of peace within your own mind. Like, there are times and places to pick your battle. In the end, everyone will have their own opinion. We then have the beautiful Death card, transformation, Gemini. I think something in here is something is actually speeding up. I think things are generally speeding up anyway, but I'm saying specifically for you, Gemini, your ability to harness what are those great qualities of being able to see many different sides of any given situation, whether that pertains to your own life or looking out into the collective and the world around you, even your local immediate situation. You're really able to harness that in quite a balanced way. I say that because we've got the Chariot. We do go and clarify with other decks here, but we've got the Chariot. So we've got this level of works are in motion. It is a time of change, and the directive is really just to focus on what it is that you can get working for yourself primarily for yourself what is worth putting your energy into at this time, and what isn't. And putting your energy into at this time, it might be different tomorrow. That's fine. It's just having being able to have a good focus on whatever it is you're doing at any given time is what I'm trying to say. So, and then the fifth card that came out is the Two of Swords. There is a decision being made within this sword card. All the twos are about making decisions, but we're not doing it based on what we're seeing. We're doing it on our intuitive abilities, of which we have very intuitive abilities when we can obtain a level of peace within our active mind, Gemini. So let's clarify here. You know, you might be coming up against with that Seven of Wands, you might be coming up, you might be in a situation that you are being challenged. It could be being challenged by people, or just situation that you're in. There are things that you want to see moving, like shifting and changing, but it's taking some time to be able to see that. But I do say to you here that this will happen, in whatever way that works for you, Gemini. So, as I said, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Let's look at the Five. Oh, God. The Five. The Five of Cups, please. We've got a big split, but there's this card that just got stuck to my finger. Sorry. Which is the beautiful, I can laugh about that, beautiful Six of Cups. So we see in the Five, we've got the Five of Cups, disappointment, melancholy, and then shifting our perspective. Not losing hope, not losing faith. We shift our perspective. So we clarify that Five with the Six, which is all about childhood. Giving without having an agenda, but it's also our connections with people that that aren't necessarily physically, in our immediate environment. We still feel those connections and those threads. But primarily it is about memory of childhood, when we first understand the concept of, or actually not the concept, Gemini, the feeling of love, emphasis on feeling, and that this non-agendaed giving and receiving, remember reception, to be able to receive is as important as to give. And you don't want to deplete yourself on that level. Let's look at so it's beautiful, the Six of Cups, Seven of Wands, Seven of Wands. We do have memory, though, from the past, of course, and memory from childhood. We've probably got far too many cards here. But I'm going to read them out, and then we'll just pull a couple for the Death card, Transformative card, and the Chariot. I'll just quickly read these out because So we're looking, we're feeling out the Seven of Wands, standing up for our principles, picking our battles, taking full responsibility for our actions. What is the Seven of Wands? We've got the Five of Swords. a deceptive quality in the 5? Do we say what we mean? Are we taking credit for some do we want to take credit for something that someone else did? What are our patterns of behavior in terms of getting what we want is actually more to the point, Gemini. You know, standing up for our principles is a wonderful thing if we have a kind of clean slate on that. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that 5 of Swords could be about some deceptive quality in your life, like with, you know, in terms of your relationships or in terms of the relationships you have with others and what you are receiving from them, what you're giving, what you're receiving. Do you feel shortchanged? I think it's more just about behavior, about getting how you get what you want at any given time. 5 of Swords. Then we've got, we'll keep moving here. Then we've got the 7 of Wands again. Standing up, standing up. We need to make sure we've got both shoes on. We need to know where we stand. We can't stand up for anything if we don't know where we actually stand. You know. We then have another beautiful 6, a lovely card of balance. We're on the flow, giving and receiving. It could seem like El Dorado. How do we get here? How do we get to this wonderful point? El Dorado, the city of gold. How do we get to this point where we're in flow? I'm not talking about financial things, really. I'm not talking about money. It's like, to me, this card is very much an emotional expression, generosity. Again, without an agenda. Understand your agenda or not, or whether you have one or not. We need to understand what our expectations are. Are we dependent on a certain... I just see this, Gemini, as a patterns of behavior that are probably shifting for you, that you've got more understanding of. And there's a removal, there's a feeling of being removed here, which is not a bad thing. I mean, it's good to have a level of detachment, but there is a big transformation going on here. And I do think it's in terms of how you see yourself, which is great. Then we have the naughty little devil here. Speaking of bondage, what are our addictive behaviors? Our thought forms, even the way that we think about ourselves, that aren't actually serving any purpose anymore. And they're not relevant anymore, is more to the point. We understand this, Gemini, and where does it take us? Ace of Pentacles, Ace of Abundance. A level of emotional health is so much connected with financial health, financial wealth. It can be, you know, for most people it is, whether we hoard money in order to make our lives feel like we you know, whatever it is, like there's always a connection between the two. And then we have the beautiful star, a card of vitality, wonderful, wonderful card. Enthusiasm, a fresh new, childlike approach to relationships, giving and receiving. So anywho, transformation, death for Gemini. The Gemini. Beautiful, the Hermit. Shining a light within, Hermit's journey, lonely journey, yep. But it can be a journey of guiding others and understanding that within yourself. Maybe someone out there is understanding their, you know, that, you know, all the many archetypes that you may well be made up of. One of them is a teacher. Maybe someone out there is seeing that. There's a transformation here. The transformation comes, Gemini, because of a very internal kind of journey into basically blasting that light, because we've got the sun here, blasting that light into our little dark corners. We're understanding something to do with our motivations and assessing those motivations. We understand it in the Hermit. It gives us abundance in a form that possibly has been lacking for a long time. Let's look at the Chariot, Gemini. Chariot. The Geminis out there. Works in motion. I mean, it's works in motion. We don't get that happening until we've got a level of balance within ourselves, like equilibrium, balance. It's really hard when you've got this sort of twinage of a nature. Not making excuses, Gemini. So we've got one card here to describe the Chariot that does not move unless there's a huge level of balance. We're coming out of a sea that holds massive potential for created work, and we're moving. We're the ones that give it form. It may feel like it's taken a long time, but here we have Temperance, the card of alchemy. A long time coming. There are sort of Saturnian requirements here in terms of our own, looking at our own behaviours, but also looking back at the past, rearranging, changing the way that we do things in order to get what it is that we want. I mean, that sounds kind of superficial, but you know, the farmer doesn't get any crops unless you plant seeds, isn't that right? So to reap benefit from your efforts, you may have felt like nothing's coming back. I'm putting all this stuff out there. Nothing's coming back. It is a case of timing, not Saturn's time, but some other natural timing here. Don't give up. Two of Swords for Gemini. And we have the ability, wonderfully so in the 7, another card of assessment. We have the ability to change, to review and change the way that we do what we do. We don't keep doing, we don't keep doing the same thing knowing that, well, that's never worked before, but we keep doing it, but it doesn't work. I mean, that is the classification, is it not, of insanity, to expect different results, yet do the same thing over and over again. That's not working. But I can tell you one thing, Gemini, when we're looking at the 2 of Swords, and we do see a new moon being pierced here. We're making a decision based on our internal guidance, whatever way you want to look at that, however you see it. And it pays off. We get the winning card of victory. People see us. Our value is reflected back at us. And therefore, we actually do see our own value. Look, the six of Wands is a card about integrity. And I do feel this sort of theme of that running through this entire reading. Like, we get tied up in knots sometimes, Gemini. But the time has come where there's a Gemini here morphing and transforming into a fresher, more confident Gemini. Is the way that I see this reading. This is and in doing that, because we're not always self-centric, we're not always thinking about satisfying our own needs, all of that stuff. We're talking about a level of service. We're talking about a level of service here. That is what victory is about. A level of service to others. Kim Cran's animal, we get the elephant. I love this because the elephant carries the flame. As is not just for themselves. It's as much about the herd, isn't it? It's as much about carrying that heart flame. And we have that within ourselves. And we do have the wherewithal and the mental acumen when we've gone into this hermit to understand that our success is for others as much as ourselves. We understand that, Gemini. It's a really beautiful reading. On that note, I forgot to pull a didn't I? I forgot to pull a Brian Froud Pixie and Fairy. We get a little bit of glimmer. A little glimmer from the fairies and pixies. Fairy Oracle deck. Wow. So we've got two cards here. We've got he himself. This lovely earthy, lit up creature. All about sincerity. All about integrity. And the fairy that was kissed by the pixies were infused with life force, vitality. Look at all these little, they're just buzzing off the blue light frequency. It is electric light orchestra stuff. It's a living thing. It is Gemini. It's a beautiful reading. It's beautiful. On that note, thanks for joining me, Gemini. I hope you got something from this reading. And as I said earlier, I really do appreciate your likes and comments and all of that, subscribes. It helps me to get these videos seen by more people. And on that note, take good care. Check out the collective reading if you so wish. Any other readings, titles that stand out, go for gold. On that note, Gemini, ka kite, happy equinox.